Real life.
Superpowers.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
It's alive!
Real life.
Superpowers.
Hello, we are here with Dari Shechter, the VP of Creative and Design of MindSpace.
Hi, what's up, P?
What's
I
up?
didn't know we were going to do it in English. I just realized, but I'm going with the flow. Hi,
Thank you for doing this. We're going to unlock your brain in this.
No, my brain is super fluent, and especially when I'm here with you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Fair enough. So Dari is a really colorful person. She's like, she always has like the most coolest accessories possible on earth.
My God, thank you. I didn't know that's what you think about
so
me.
I hide my feelings toward your accessories, and now I'm just
He's
gonna
jealous.
open it up to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Be more clear next time.
So Dari's like in the co-working space.
True, MindSpace.
Yeah, so like whoever doesn't know about co-working space, it's like the biggest real estate trend in the last, let's say, decade.
Yeah.
So
I think most people know WeWork, but MindSpace is actually pretty huge. There's offices in Israel, Berlin, Poland, England, Holland, and the US.
right. What's amazing about it is what I'm seeing in co-working spaces now is that it's not only about the real estate, which is like the business opportunity that it started off on. There's like a whole community thing. Yeah. So it's really impressive to see how it evolved. And thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting.
And Dari, you're so young. So how did you end up in this position?
Well, I'm so not fucking young.
It's a dream
I'm sorry.
job. You have a dream job.
Thank you. On the one hand, on the second, I cannot say about any job that is a dream job. You have to work hard for it. You're kidding your ass for it. Like today, you're catching me in a very bad day, and today I can say you can kill me, but it's not a dream job. But obviously, every kind of job is like this.
Exactly.
But yes, I definitely do what I like, which is fun. And I think if you're asking me how I got there, I just started doing seriously what I like and implementing it within the place I work. I didn't start as managing I didn't start as the VP Creative and Design of MindSpace. I actually started as a community manager and a sales manager.
In MindSpace.
In MindSpace. I was the first worker, actually, of the company. And I think, like in any regular startup, you do everything. You do whatever you need to do in order to make it happen. So as part of like doing everything, I had to touch the space and like create something that will be aligned with what I'm trying to sell. And through giving my touch of design to the space, I realized I'm good at it.
Because they gave you a chance to actually give your inputs about what the look and feel of the place is?
Exactly. At the beginning, they were a bit skeptical about it because I came from the business world. And
you didn't study design or art in any way?
Nothing.
Wow.
It came from my house, like from my home. It's a culture thing that we really we appreciate art. We visit a lot of exhibitions around the world. It's a family thing. And I said that in my next job will be, if it will be something around physical something with a space, I have to give my 2 cents into the space. And that was MindSpace at the beginning. I had to convince them hardly in order to give me this chance. But I did because I was doing sales as well. So I had to do sales as well with CEO. And it went really good. I remember the day that was the first opening of the space. Everybody you have to understand, people didn't understand what the hell co-working is. You explain them, listen, it's a 2,000 meter space. It's divided into small rooms. Everything you can see through. Everything is boutique. And everybody look at me, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, because it is weird. Like
it's
if you
weird.
really think of it, like I wouldn't take an apartment with more than like one person.
Obviously.
And I'd probably want to know him before. So like sharing like, a cup of coffee with like 37 strangers,
Exactly.
It's okay now, but
of people that are grown-ups, that are like CEOs of startups and businesses, why should they share something? Like in Israeli, typically they would like to have their own space, they want to have their own identity and whatever. And it was really hard to sell it at the beginning.
Didn't the smart business people realize the networking opportunity here?
of course, that was part of my pitch, but they had to see it because it sounded like it was like a bee place for bees. It's like everything is divided. A lot of people, they're doing like, we're
Now it's
creating
the opposite.
honey together.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's the opposite now. You're like Barclays can be in like a place like
All these
big organizations
rather be
companies
there.
want to be there. Even like Microsoft and all these other places, I think it's a worldwide thing where all these companies want to be in these shared working spaces because they understand they need to tap into it as well as their regular offices.
Yeah,
Definitely.
what's your biggest brands that took offices in the co-working space?
Wow, I think for us, think about it. The first branch of MindSpace, which was in Israel, we had Palantir, which are, no need to explain, and Coca-Cola took an office. Like they jumped into this opportunity to touch the innovative space
But Dari,
and
this
take
was
part of it.
before this incredible design, because for people that haven't stepped into a MindSpace, then I highly recommend that. It's actually really inspiring, and you walk in and you get that vibe of something rough and creative, and that there's some flow in the air.
True. But
and
no,
this was not going on before. This is something
It
that you
was.
worked in.
From the beginning, I touched all the spaces from the creative part of it and the design part of it, and yeah. So I just started my first sentences. I said that like the moment that the clients enter the space after the renovation, when they try to catch the pitch idea to the physical product, was amazing. Like people enter the space and like, what the fuck I see? People were like taking selfies. I think it was even before the selfie time. People were taking selfies with a phone booth, sitting like for the first 5 hours that people entered. They were just taking pictures, ordering like their friends, inviting them, come, you have to see. And
You become the cool person in the room.
and then like the thing is, I think everybody feels cool there. Everybody feels that like this is their identity. Like this is my space. That's what it says about me. I chose to be in this place. I chose to be part of this community.
And this whole experience was bootstrapped. This is the fact that you designed this whole concept is basically because this was a startup that wasn't going to afford or look into a professional designer, and you evolved into this.
The thing is, I'm going a bit like back. I'll explain how it really started. I participated in a very cool entrepreneurship program, Zell program in IDC. And as part of this program, they take 20 students into the States. They fly them to see all the big brands or spaces, to meet the CEOs, like big VPs, whatever. You meet the VP marketing of LinkedIn. I met Mark Zuckerberg, like everybody are wearing their suits, meeting people and pitching our idea for startups. And as part of this road trip, we went to see WeWork, and I think it was like 6.5 years ago, and they had only 2 or 3 locations back then, which is crazy. No one knew them, and we took part in this tour. And when I entered the space for the first time, and I was really exposed to see this concept, like to see co-working, I was shouting like, "Oh my God, what I see, Male!" And I started hugging the community managers. Take me! I'm moving. I'm leaving Israel. I'm moving here. I want to be part of this concept. And everybody, okay, relax, chill, girl.
Okay, freak.
And I was enthusiastic like crazy, and then we were in contact. We met Adam Neumann. It was its beginning. He had time for it. Meeting entrepreneurs from Israel. What a big thing. Whatever. And we were just students. And then he asked, like, do you think it's a good idea to enter the Israeli market? And then we said, like, of course. Part of the people said, no, it's not a good idea. Some of the people said yes. And I was like shouting yes out loud.
Wait, who was asking this?
Adam Neumann.
Really? Okay.
And I was shouting, what the hell? Yes. And I'm going to be that person that's going to launch it. And then I kept in contact with the guys from WeWork, and it seems that they're not going to enter soon the market. So as part of being part of this entrepreneurship program.
And this was part of what studies? What did you study?
Entrepreneurship.
What degree?
Business.
Business, okay.
But it's kind of like a program. It doesn't matter. You don't study nothing from your degree. You're adding like an extra year for your studies in order to learn entrepreneurship, to build your startup.
I'm trying to understand your journey in general, because
it's an elite program for people who are very entrepreneur
By
oriented.
nature, yeah.
And it's very hard to get into that program. So it's about 20 students from 10,000 a year.
Got
The
it.
program.
Got it.
It's a really, really, really cool product. Super hard. It's like a boot camp for entrepreneurship. And that's why they have crazy budget for us. And that's why they flew us to the US. And in the end of this process, we were in contact. And I think the VP marketing of WeWork, I don't remember his name, and I were in contact. And then I realized that it wasn't going in that direction that I wanted. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to do it myself. And then for like at the age of 25, I was for like 6 months just investigating this market of co-working, and we had nothing in Israel yet. And I was checking what competitors we have in Israel. We had nothing really much. And then
Talk about that entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
but
She's
it's
making
something
herself define her as a self-work. She's building a business.
Yeah,
It's
she's like, okay, Adam Neumann, you don't want to do it yet, so
Yeah, but
challenge
there's-
accepted, man.
Definitely. But seriously, I have to say that there's kind of like an energy that you go out of this program, this entrepreneurship program, that you can really like do anything.
a lot of confidence.
It's crazy. You feel you can manage the world. It's a kind of like an illusion, I have to say, but it was good at that time, I have to say. It was really good at that time. And in the age of 25, I was researching, and then along the research, like the opportunities come, and I met Dan Zakai, which is the CEO today and the owner of MindSpace. And back then he told me that he was actually working on the same concept as well. We were like literally in the same like stage of
Research.
He actually found a space. He didn't research much. He's just like doing, this kind of type of person. And he suggested me to join the forces and be like his second hand and to lead all the marketing and sales of the company.
And did it bother you that you're now joining not as something that's yours?
So that at the beginning, I was like super pissed about it. I was like fighting with him all the time. I'm going to be our owner. If you don't want to be a founder, talk to me in like 6 months, maybe I'll answer your calls. At the beginning, I was like a brat. And then I realized, okay, girl, you have nothing. You're 25. You didn't do nothing in your life yet. You were like maybe a waiter and a bartender. And then I realized this illusion that we talked about that you get from this program, entrepreneurship program, is a bit fading. And okay, real life, take this opportunity and go girl. And that's what happened. And
then this is the crazy part. So this is like, what, 5-6 years ago?
5 years ago.
And then you opened up the space.
Yes.
Okay, now cut. We're in 2018 right now. How many branches do you have? It was one floor, right? You had one floor.
We
in
had
the
one
building.
floor. Imale, I don't remember the numbers. It always changes because every week they sign up like a new branch.
Wow.
We have around, I think, 20 plus branches around the world.
How many do WeWork have, if you know?
They have hundreds.
No, they have 100, but
They have hundreds.
20 in that period of time is like, that's usually 100% growing in business is a lot. This is, about 2,000%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And WeWork was already happening, so it's not like they were completely, out of the blue. So there was competition.
There was competition. The crazy thing is, I remember that Adam Neumann came to our space to see what the fuck is MindSpace. Like,
Really?
Who are they? And we had only
So
one.
you managed to move the needle there.
We had only one floor. Think about it. Why should he care? And he just entered, walking around, and we saw him in the camera system.
You mean stalked?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, and obviously we see him as a competitor, but I think it's a kind of like a movement that has to happen, that has to be evolved, like these crazy offices that people work in.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
It's
there's something
impossible.
that you strengthen each other in a way because you're pushing a concept to the world.
I remember the day that WeWork entered the Israeli market. It was like around 8 months after our grand opening, and we were super scared about it. And then when they entered, I remember in my marketing classes at my first degree, there was always saying, the lecturer was always saying that competition is always good. You always have to have a competition. It always helps you to get more clients. And we didn't realize it. And once they enter the market, the amounts of like leads that we got like
Demand.
doubled. doubled like crazy. Because if someone goes to WeWork, he has to check what is like the other option, because you cannot just like take whatever. It's like an approach. You cannot just take whatever you see. If you're looking for like an apartment, you will not take the first apartment that you will see. You have to check a number more to do this kind of comparison. So it's good.
I agree. I gotta say it's a bit philosophical, because there's all these theories that you should try and enter a blue ocean and not a red ocean that's already filled with blood of other sharks.
True.
But that's the difference between education of a market,
right?
than having a market.
Although Peter Thiel says the same in his book E02. He talks about trying to find your niche and be a monopoly in it. But this makes so much sense to me.
Definitely. And it's crazy because today there are around hundreds of co-working spaces in Israel, which is crazy how in 5 years, across the world, obviously, but
here there was one.
Exactly. We were the first one. And so it's fun to see in the one hand. On the second hand, it's a bit hard how it's Israel. Sometimes like everything is like it catches you like a disease, If something cool is happening, you will see hundreds after 2 years. I remember.
I have a question about cool for a second. So I'm thinking you're like a creative designer, right?
Yes.
So I walk around MindSpace and I see a jar of eyeballs.
Eyeballs.
Yeah, it's like a jar of eyeballs, just sitting there, right? And
sitting there.
That's the kind of the vibe. And you go in and you see like an elevator with about 6,000 mirrors. It's I don't even know if I'm in Disneyland or in co-working
Burning
space,
Man.
but it's like
Funny.
it's so Burning Man is a good it's a good inspiration because I feel that there is some crazy shit going on here.
Thank you.
No,
I like you guys. No, it's hard.
Really creative, but I'm thinking maybe it's a taste thing, because when you go global, everybody says there's culture. So you're amazing at what you do as a designer and a creative, but there must be a difference between what's cool here than in Germany or in Canada.
Of course, but in order to do this kind of customization, we have to learn the market. We're checking all the trends around the world and specific in this market. And we're doing kind of like a tours before to understand, like looking at the cool places, hotels, restaurants. We don't look at offices at all.
Real Life Superpowers doesn't like to do the whole sponsorship thing, but we do like to holler out about great ideas or things that are really useful. So this week we want to talk about Tube Master, what changed my life. Really easily, by the way. It's actually a simple idea. So you know how you go into YouTube and you're listening to this great song. At the same time, you want to send a message or use a GPS.
Is this on your iPhone or your phone?
Your phone, right?
Okay.
So you actually have to choose if you want the song more to send your wife a message. You have to actually decide what's more important. By the way, send a message for your wife. It's more important. But anyways, now you don't have to decide anymore. So you download the app and then your YouTube can work with any other app.
So you can minimize YouTube and still be on your phone.
Exactly.
And you can hear what's going on YouTube.
Exactly.
Love it.
Simple idea, great idea. Wow, for me it was great. So holler to you guys.
Right, but there's also a brand. So you have like MindSpace. You still want them to get the feel.
True.
So you have to change it for a different market. It's like, how do you manage that?
We don't, that's the thing. When you're saying change, we don't really change. We have our DNA, we have our language, and we go with it. As long as we are a team of people that are creative, we are designing it one by one together. We're doing this adaptation that you're talking about, but we're always keeping on the same vibes and coolness. And it's hard. Guys, you always have to invent something.
But Dari, how did you have the courage for this? I mean, didn't you sort of look sideways and think there are people who went the traditional way and studied design that are much more competent and capable of doing this huge project? And it seems like you put yourself at the tier 1 of designers at a journey that's so rare.
Thank you for this question. I think it's amazing. Great question. I have to say it's really difficult for me. It's very challenging because sometimes I get bad energies from designers that don't appreciate that I got into this role without doing any degree and
because
design.
They're still struggling and trying to get this project and just get their way across and succeed, and you're all the way somewhere else completely. and you just leaped from somewhere else. And the thing is, I don't believe that there are such leaps. I'm sure that the dots in your life are leading to this. And if we reverse engineer it, we can understand how you became from somebody who studied business, this huge influensive creator. So I'm wondering how do you explain it? How does this happen? Do you think it's out of the blue?
I think I can explain it. I think from being something from the beginning gave me the opportunity to do what I wanted, basically. As I explained, like a startup, you do everything. So I basically, if I would go to more base organized, entering to like a position of a designer, no one would have given me this chance. They were looking for a specific person with specific degree. But because it was a startup, I could do whatever I want. And I think most roles in the high-tech scene, especially, you don't study it. You learn from it. You learn from the way. You don't have like a SEO degree, and it's hard. Even marketing management. I did marketing courses in business. You don't really learn. Like, you don't really study marketing. Okay, guys, it's
so true.
It's from the environment that you learn from. And I think because I was like in a startup and I was I think I was in the right place in the right time. And I used my capabilities to push what I want. I'm very, very stubborn. It works for me sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But with Dan, I was so stubborn, he couldn't hear me anymore. He just let me to do it. He just, okay, just design it, okay? Leave me alone. I was like digging his head for months. Let me do it. Please, let me do it. I was like giving him references and whatever. He was just ignoring me. And he would say it differently now, but like, don't listen to him. But
now he's probably saying, I knew all along. Dari is the one who should have designed MindSpace. It was so clear the moment I met her.
What was the point where you impressed him? Where you're like, here's the jar of eyeballs. That's for me. That's it's so weird and depressing. But
no, you have to come to other branches. If the eyes of whatever you saw, the jars of it, you have to see more stuff.
Just pass by. I just stick there for a moment. I'm like, wow, that works. Why does that work?
I do not believe you love it.
Yeah, like in Holland, maybe there's like bodies in fridges.
Right.
No, today if you ask me, I think it's disgusting, these jars of...
Wow. Stop it, Dari.
Wait, so what was the thing that impressed him?
I changed. What do I do? My design changed, my approach changes. You asked me when it started. When I realized that he's not the person to touch his heart, I went to the architect of the project and I created kind of like a presentation of what is my mood board, my ideas and my references and my approach to the space.
You just started doing it.
I didn't ask him. I was just doing it. I just started designing. I collected stuff and whatever. And then
the superpower here is becoming very clear.
Yep, definitely.
Superpower. The name of the show. Okay, thank you. And then I showed the presentation to the architect. He loved it, and that's it. From now on, I was controlling the space.
Did the architect know that you have zero experience?
He didn't care because he looked at it from the more styling approach. I did like a styling, but then I took this opportunity and really took it to the next step and did more like curating for the space and more creative directing. And I think I was just starting this job along the way, really from reading blogs, from seeing other designers design.
Do you feel that you've improved since? Because
of course, I hate my work
know that many creators at the beginning of their career, they have what they call, what Ira Glass from This American Life calls the creative gap. When you've envisioned something in your head and then you go and you try to create it, and there's such a gap between what you imagined and what happens. So do you feel like
you're touching a very sensitive point now? I can cry from it. I can be dead. This is like the moments I can really kill myself.
Has that improved though? Has the gap now become a bit
You have
smaller?
to understand that when we design a space, we're designing something that is like on the other side of the globe. And for instance, now we're designing a space for DC, Washington, and I don't have even 1 day to go there to see it. So we're just designing it from pictures and illustrations and whatever, and it's so hard, and you cannot really overcome this gap. So you plan something, you come to the space, you see it, you see that 50% of the stuff that you designed are not really happening. And so it's really hard. And but I have to say, if I'm talking about my involvement in this role, when you said about the jars with the eyes, something pinched me because it really reminds me of my beginning. Like the stuff that I would do only at the beginning and I would never do again. But that's why I think you can see you can really see my change in approach through the branches. I think only now I started liking what I do. Like it took me years to get there. But
is it because now there's less of a gap in what you imagine is what you see, or because
more of a budget?
Actually,
what's
the budget just
that?
go like decreased and decreased like crazy, trying to be efficient, my ass. and no, really, it's so hard. But I think that it's a process. It's a process where I learn stuff. I see the world, and I think from mistakes I learn. After I design something, I see the mistake, I fix it. Then another chapter of understanding something, I sponged it. And then along the job, you realize what you like and what people like, what could work, what is cheaper to work with, and that still gives a great effect. You meet more suppliers, you meet more artists.
Yeah, like you learn the insider secrets.
Definitely. And I think now that I'm working with a crazy community of artists that really bring the vibes of the space, it's easier. You just pick them, you just, okay, I want you, come here. Okay, come do me this Warsaw branch. It's just easier. And I think how we distinguish ourselves from our competitors when it comes to design, I think it's the artists, the community of artists, that we really build with them the language. We don't just buy something and like stick it to the wall. We're thinking with them what this artwork will make people feel, how this connect to the other artist's artwork in the other side of the room, and everything connects. If you really think about it, it's like really building a physical user experience when it comes to an end.
So if like you would give a story to this brand in the community, okay, what would it be? Like you say, listen, if you want to build a successful community of a lot of people.
Okay.
How do you do that? Like in a sentence. Like what's the secret?
Okay. So as I explained, I started as a community manager. I had no experience in that, but the only experience I had in my life is my friends. Like I would say I'm the community manager of my friends. And seriously. And
you're the person connecting between everyone.
Yes, actually I'm a founder of another small organization that is all about communities. I will explain about it in a minute.
Yeah, please do.
And the thing is, I think it's all about the people. You need to understand the people. You need to understand the characters and think how they can connect. So for the beginning of the MindSpace community, I was struggling to connect people, okay, how do I do it? How do I really connect people? I want to create this community. I want people to be together. But at the really beginning, and Ronen was part of the early adopters, let's call it, people came like more spiritual about it, more like open-minded about it. So like 50% of the community were like ready to communicate, ready to connect. And the other 50% were like, what is this concept? What is this community? What do you mean?
Why am I here?
What is the fuck is the community is? And I realized that like, even though I'm selling a network space, you have to connect, it's a place to do networking and whatever. It's not about the network, it's about the energies, it's about the people. If you want to like, I don't believe really that the connection between people works only from the business aspect. I think it's only about the energy. If you meet something that you have good energy, you can do whatever. You can do everything together. And that was my approach. I was introducing between people because I felt that they could connect like personally, they could be friends, they could hang out, whatever. And that's what happened. Like I really connected between people. They became friends, and some of them became even partners at work, and they collaborated. And I think me as a community manager, being there every day, I was like really like supervising it. I was like checking, did you eat with him lunch? Did you talk to him? Did you ask him what we did yesterday? We're like this. You have to talk. And I had like oh, that's funny. Sorry. I had one dude that just started to rent a space, and I was like telling him, listen, we have happy hours on Thursday. I have this kind of company that could be relevant for you. I have a cool dude that maybe could be nice to talk with. And he was like, girl, leave me alone. I'm not this community dude that you think I am. And just leave me alone. I'll rent my office. I'll drink my coffee and shut up. I'm like, okay, what a misanthrope. Misanthrope is the right word in English. Like an unsocial person. Yeah. So I was like, I had an idea. Okay, I know another unsocial person. I should connect.
So you just figured, okay, minus and minus will equal plus.
Exactly. And I was like taking this unsocial person. Listen, I met the perfect dude for you. And they're like, I put them in the same room. Dudes, be unsocial together. I closed the door and I just left. And they became best friends. It's amazing. They were just sitting in the room and ditching people together. So that was the approach. And like, I don't know, it worked.
That's actually a good insight, like finding two people who are unsocial and bringing them together.
I would always think that wouldn't work. It's like, two kids at school that nobody likes. I don't think that means they'll be friends.
Haters like to hate.
Yeah, that's
true. They need to hate together.
Yeah.
Put the trolls together.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is a good time to ask, actually. So what do you think your superpower is? Because it sounds to me you have a few talents, but what's your superpower?
I think because, I don't take medicines. Seriously, I should take like all this Ritalin stuff and whatever. I should be more calm. No, I'm hyper.
Why should you?
Exactly. I'm against of it. I need these energies. I need this hyperactive approach, and I cannot sit on my ass and I'm always just jumping around. And I think this jumping around approach, people like it a bit, and it helps me with suppliers, with colleagues, with my boss. When I jump around to my boss and tell him, listen, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna take the budget. I'm gonna put it in my trash, and I'm gonna do whatever I want and love me. Okay, and then I go. So I'm trying to use good energies with what I do always, and sometimes it works, and sometimes people don't know how to digest it, and it's okay. Sometimes it's too much. But when I'm going back home, I cannot even explain you how I'm just falling down because the amount of energies that I put in people and like
into everything that you do.
Everything, because I'm just like I'm I don't know. I feel if I make someone happy, I'll get it back. It's kind of like a mirror, and it works. And I think this in a combination of, as I said, I'm a super stubborn person. I'm trying to get what I want. Always. It doesn't work with my relationship, but it works at my job. And I believe that everything can happen. Like seriously, nothing is like, okay, I'm sorry, it's too late, you cannot do nothing.
And MindSpace
don't believe
looks
in it.
like that.
Definitely.
MindSpace just looks exactly like what you described.
It sounds like you're optimistic and enthusiastic. So it's optimistic enthusiasm.
And I'm an optimistic and a pin and ass as well.
Well, that works together.
It definitely works together.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a kiss and like a slap, Right. I love you, but do this please now, bitch. So like I'm trying to do this combination.
And your kryptonite?
And my kryptonite? My kryptonite. Himalaya. Because I'm an optimistic person and I'm having this mirror approach, when I see someone that is bad energized, I'm sponging these energies and it stays with me. And then it goes with me.
You're like absorbing your surrounding.
Exactly. Because as I explained, I'm giving back and I'm getting it back from them. And it's kind of like a ping pong thingy. And when someone drops the ball and it just shouts at me or just being bad, I don't know how to react to it. I'm sometimes just like, I'm stuck. Whoa, bad energies, dude. What is it?
Go sit with the other two guys that I already put together and leave me alone.
No, I don't know bad energies. Go away from here. But I don't want to sound like a fairy or whatever, a magician. Guys, I'm unhappy sometimes. I'm going sometimes back home and crying my ass and like I'm pissed. I'm having a bad day. I'm like every other human being. And I have to say this energizing thingy, giving these energies to the world takes a lot out of me.
Right.
And there's a price for it. I have to say, and sad music behind me now, but I'm sick all the time. I'm like, half of my body is dead. Half of my hobbies.
Maybe you should try meditating. Do you?
Okay, I don't. Okay, I said it. I don't meditate, and I need to. I know it. Everybody says to me, I'm going to one day. I don't have this. As I explained, I'm hyper. I'm jumping around. How can I sit and meditate, I need someone to just like put me in jail and then I meditate. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's the biggest obstacle
Definitely.
to actually getting into it.
Yeah, Dari's sort of like a bullet in the cage.
Yeah.
So definitely that.
I'm just curious, before we will start wrapping up, all these people who are unhappy at their job and want to live their passion, but are afraid or don't know how to start. Do you think there are some sort of insights that you can share of what a person can do in order to live their dream?
Wow. I don't know yet if I'm living my dream. Seriously, I don't know if anyone knows if he's living his dream.
But when you're not. When you're
True.
somewhere that you don't need to be. And
True.
I think I'm getting the impression that you feel that you are where you want to be at the moment. Maybe as life happens, there are things that make it a little difficult and there's bad days. But I think it sounds like you're aware of the huge achievement and of where you are at the moment.
I think.
And if I'm wrong, then that's fair.
True. I don't know. I think I see life in chapters. Now, there's chapters in your life. There's a chapter that you're a bit confused. What am I going to do in my life? It's a chapter. It's going to pass, and enjoy it, because once you'll be in a place that you know exactly where you are and you know exactly who you are, you're going to miss these times of, I was so confused and I went to the beach and smoked a cigarette and do whatever I want. And like,
somebody is missing those times, I think.
and like, people are miserable from being miserable, and that makes you more miserable, and it's kind of like a cycle of miserableness. And I think that even at the 6 months that I was just researching about MindSpace, when I did nothing in my life, I was just researching. I didn't have a job. I didn't do nothing. I was like in a minus in my bank, and I had these energies of telling me, you're good. You're good. You're talented. You don't know what is your talent yet. I didn't have any profession. I was studied business. What is the fuck is business? And I didn't know what is my profession, but I know you're good. If you will look for the good, it will come to you. But don't be don't push it too much. Like, it will come. But I think people should more explore. People should see more opportunities out of what they know. People are trying to stick with specific jobs description. Okay, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to look for a lawyer job. I'm going to be a UX designer. I'm going to look for UX. No, there's so many types of stuff.
And actually doing just one thing in 2018.
Boring.
And it's also not enough already.
Definitely. And if you're you don't have a job now, take a course, study something. Always enrich yourself. Always
Be
yourself.
moving.
Even if you find this job that you like, okay, what else interests you? Go and study this. For instance, now I love what I do, but I started studying agriculture, permaculture, if you're familiar with permaculture, and I love it. I don't know how I'm going to use it, but I know I love it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And then somehow maybe I'll implement it within the spaces with the design, or maybe I'll just go to the agriculture space and world.
So following your interests and just having faith that
Exactly.
that's going to pay off.
Whatever it will be. You can be a guitar player, whatever. Just do it. And I don't want to sound like a Steve Jobs with vision to life. Do what you love, but I don't know. But just do. Okay, you don't find it? Okay, take a course. What do you like? You like to sew? Go sew. You like to cook? Go cook. Just do it. And then you'll find your way. That's what I believe. Maybe it's too optimistic.
No, I think it's great. And I know, I see that you believe it. And I think you live it.
True.
So that's great and good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to sum up a little bit about what we're
Please
talking about.
do.
So what's interesting about your story is I think the first thing is that you explored. Meaning, one of the lucky points that of course the talent has to do with it, but the lucky point was you flying overseas and seeing that WeWork was a big influence. That means the more you do, the more you experience, the more ideas you have. I think the second thing that you said is about creative. That means the more things you see, the more ideas you have.
Exactly.
which is really important if you're a creative designer, which is a really good point. And optimism sounds like something that goes
Thank you, guys.
in two ways. One, because of what you're talking about, energy, but a second point, which was really interesting, was the point where you actually did the job, even though whoever worked over you or under you didn't respect that you had the talent to do that job.
Sure.
So you were in sales and you actually did the design work till you became a designer. So you want to be a partner, right? So I think that that's really inspiring on that sense.
Thank you. So nice. I love you guys. No, really. I love podcasts.
Dari's so fun.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, let's do lunch together, guys.
Oh, definitely. We're still doing that. Anyway, so thank you very much. This has been truly fun and interesting.
Thank you for inviting me.
and
Let's
I
just
feel
high
like
five it out.
Yeah,
let's
but
high-five it out.
Let's high-five it.
Hello.
Real life.
Superpowers.